Hi, it's John here with the Indie Creative Entrepreneur Journey. And this time we've got Veemsen Lama, the filmmaker of Chianti. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Sorry if I'm still kind of
Yeah,
botching it
Chanty.
up.
Yes, Chanty. Yes. Chanty.
Chianti.
Chanty.
Okay. And before we dive into the story of the film stuff, Veemsen, maybe you could talk a little bit about what is it that lights you up each morning? What is it that kind of really, makes you want to just basically get out there and, share your message with the world?
Um, I like stories. I like any kind of stories. And as a storyteller, if I get opportunity to tell the story, that gives me energy, that inspires me, that push me to go like 1 mile further. And yeah, I have to say this story, it's very connected as a storyteller, I think.
Definitely. So, was there like something in your childhood or like, growing up that like in terms of stories that like inspired you? Like, was it others that told stories that, or was there films or different things that like you saw that like inspired you to kind of, really get into storytelling yourself?
I think my my journey itself is a story for me. I think I learned from that because I was grown up in Nepal, in one of the villages. Um, and when I was a child, I was like influenced with that old Hollywood like martial art film, like Bruce Lee film and Jean-Claude Van Damme film, and I was a big fan of like action film. And I used to like dream, and I was like, one day I want to make film like that, and like action film, or like that kind of film. I was like, but I knew that I could never go there, or I could never do that because I mean I'm not from rich family. I'm from like medium class family in Nepal. I was born in Nepal. I was grown up there. Um, when I was 18 years old, I joined British Army.
Hmm.
So and from Britain they go to Nepal, and they enlist number of soldiers for their army here, and they are called Gurkhas. I don't know if audience knows about it or not. So they go to Nepal every year and enlist certain amount of people as a part of British Army. So I basically went for the selection for that, and I got in, and I came to Britain, and I stayed here as an army. So and I served here like certain years, like 11 years, and I
Hmm.
left the army. That journey actually, the during the army life, I had to go like different place. Like I was in war. I was in Iraq. I was in Afghanistan, and those journey actually taught me a lot of things. And at the same time, I wanted to, I mean, tell a story. I wanted to make a film. So in 2013, I left the army. I joined film school, and from there I started making films, and I'm just making films at the moment. So that was kind of my journey actually.
Awesome. The Gurkhas, correct me if I'm wrong and stuff, but I've kind of remember that hearing that like they're really known for their ferocity. They're known to be some really fierce fighters, and which is one of the reasons why the British continue to kind of recruit the Nepalese soldiers and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about that, about the reputation of the Gurkhas and like kind of why Britain kind of has really what the connection is with Britain for that
um
matter, the history.
I mean, in 18th century, when there was when Britain wanted to, I mean, take the world, during that journey, they took India first, and from India they wanted to take Nepal as well as a British East India Company. So I mean, when I was a child, when I read the history, and they said they wanted to take Nepal, but there was like big fight. So nobody won the war. I mean, you might have heard, I don't know if you have heard or not. Nepal was the country which was never conquered. So even Britain, I mean, they nobody actually won it. So, but but the British Empire was really impressed with the bravery of Nepalese soldiers that time. So, and rather than fighting, what they decided was they wanted to enlist them to be the part of the British Empire. So, and
Mm.
then that is how the Indian Gurkhas started from that time, and they started to serve in India when British colony was there. But India got independence after 19 something, 1940s or something, that date. And
Mm.
after that, when British Empire came to Britain, they brought like certain number of regiment, the Gurkha regiment, to Britain. So, and still, to this date, there is lot of Gurkha regiment here, but not that many numbers as in India at the moment. But there's Indian Gurkhas as
Mm.
well. There is about like 3,500 Gurkhas still serving in British Army. They are like everywhere within Britain as well as overseas. Certain number of troops are in Brunei. Some are in Singapore, and some are in Falkland, and there's like certain troops, and some are in Kathmandu as well. So, yeah, not that high numbers, but yeah, still there is about like 3,500 still serving Gurkhas.
So how has
Uh,
like that experience of, like having been in war and in these kind of extreme conditions, how do you feel that's kind of shaped your view of the world and of like, different stories and stuff?
I think the journey to army and this, going from different place to place, like going around the world, doing the adventure, doing challenging things, doing ferocious thing, I mean, learning, helping each other, working in a team. I think it itself is kind of like tough things, and learn how to survive, and um, I mean, that kind of things actually make you more, I think, more like matured, I have to say. And definitely it has helped in my storytelling as a director, as a leadership, as a decision maker. Um, that's why I think, it's helping me in direction.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if that
I can
answered
definitely see that.
your question.
Like in the filmmaking, or actually just any kind of filmmaking, actually, like there's often this kind of worldview of how, like you have people that are in the industry and you have civilians and stuff, like just kind of like in the military, where I served actually a number of years myself and stuff, and you really have like this kind of bonding with the people that are in your units and stuff like that. And I think that's one of the things I recognize in filmmaking too, is that like on a production, there's like this kind of inner world of, that to some degree it's like the culture of the filmmaking or of the project itself, but then otherwise, like, it's also like kind of this attitude of like kind of like there's the rest of the world, civilians and stuff, and there's us and everything. And I think that's the thing that like I also saw in the military and stuff that kind of carried over. And certainly a lot of the like you said, the traits and the abilities that you develop from the military carry over into filmmaking and stuff, like improvising and being very resilient and everything. Can you talk about like maybe like a moment though that like things really pushed you though, like kind of really was, tested your resilience on making the film? The most recent one.
Uh, y- Absolutely, absolutely. I always compare my like filmmaking project like a military exercise.
Hmm.
Because military exercise are not easy. You go through the training without sleep for like 5 days. You hardly get like 2 or 3 hours sleep, without comfort, without proper food, and you are trained in that kind of environment where there's enemy everywhere, and you need to be able to move from one place to another place, even in that kind of situation. That is how you're trained, right, in the military. And you're stressed. You haven't got sleep. Your brain even doesn't properly work, like mentally stressed, physically stressed. But that is the moment where you are tested, from your seniors. And if you pass that kind of like condition, then that proves that you are you're able to go anywhere and and do your job. I mean, in the military. So that is how military tests. And whereas in filmmaking as well, as far as I have experienced, working with that many people, as you have mentioned, is a filmmaking itself is a collaboration project. There's a lot of people. We need that bonding, and if there's like personal, problem in building that relationship, then basically you fail. You should be able to work as a family, try to make, I mean, everybody happy, and basically build that bonding mutual relationship. That's what I do with my actors as well. Before starting of the shoot as well, I try to get to know each other, and I act like a friend so that they don't feel uncomfortable, as a director actor, they don't feel that distance, so that we get the best performance out of the actors. And during the shoot as well, I mean, I have went through many situations where I'm like stressed, and sometimes my brain is like locks, and you don't know what to do, but you need to decide as a director. But if you don't decide, then you are wasting everyone's time. That one single shot can basically, I mean, if that doesn't work in edit, then that is wasting everyone's time, a producer's money, and I mean, time is money, and so that decision making things, I think sometimes I relate that with the army tasks, like army, like in the military. But I mean, that's why, I mean, the training in the military, of course, has helped me in that decision making, and be resilient, and be ruggedized, rugged, and really, strong on your decision sometimes, and follow your instinct. If you think it's right, then I just go with that. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So some of the things that I find also related to just what you said is the idea that, like you talked about resilience and having that determination and stuff like that. And as we talked about, there's definitely a lot of comparisons to, like kind of like a military evolution. I think the big difference, of course, is that, the obvious one where, it should never come down to life and death. I mean, we should all have heard of tragedies on set and stuff, but I think it's like kind of like finding that balance of like kind of where people are pushed to their limits and where they're making great art and everything, but yet not, like endangering anyone and stuff like that. I think it's like a really delicate balance too, I think. And I think, certainly from what I've heard of, Chianti's, project and stuff, going to on location to shoot and stuff, there's certain risks with that. And so, can you talk a little bit about finding that balance between like kind of, like what you're willing to do for your, art and for the love of, the project and stuff, and what, like kind of when you said, like, okay, guys, like, this is just filmmaking, this is crazy to kind of like, where did you draw that line different times, did you find?
I mean, in our story, landscape was one of the character. So I mean, when I pitched the idea to the team, everybody loved it. And obviously we wanted to shoot in Nepal, and Nepal is famous for like mountains. I was thinking, why not we go near the mountains and shoot there? So that is how the idea came. But the problem is like, I mean, far away is from Kathmandu is like 10 hours in 4x4 vehicle, about 10 hours drive. So wow. we had to hire 4x4 vehicle, and we went there with the equipment and cast and crew, and we stayed there nearly 8-9 days. So we spent about 2 or 3 days for a raking location, but the place was very challenging. There was no any power. There were power outages that maybe hardly 5 or 6 hours power you're getting in a day. The rest is like, you don't know what time the power will go off. There was no any phone signals at all, no any mobile signals. And what else? And there was no any internet, no Wi-Fi. So there was like problem in communications, and well, obviously we had satellite phone if there is any emergency and stuff, but at the same time, before let's say if the shooting is starting tomorrow, so for example today, I mean, like some guys, some part of the crew start to get like I mean ill, so because of the altitude sickness, because the place where we were going to shoot was 3,500 meters from sea level, and it's the
Wow.
place, and the place is called Mustang, and basically it's not very far from the mountains. You can actually see the mountains from there. So that was the idea, but I mean the landscape itself was very challenging, and at the same time the weather was not favoring to us, like as far as I heard before, the weather has to be like really good on that location. But when we went there, it was like heavy rain one day, and I'm like, oh my god, it's just impacting all the scheduling, everything. And but we didn't stop. We just we just kept on shooting, but later weather was really good, and we basically completed the shoot. Yeah, some member has to be evacuated as well, like emergency evacuation because of that altitude sickness. Yeah, I mean our friend Bobby Pin, who is our executive producer as well, script supervisor. And also he's in charge of behind the scenes footage, behind the scenes pictures, and taking photographs for the poster. And he basically he kindly joined us. We came all the way from United States because he loved the story when I pitched him, and he wanted to be part of the team. And he had worked with me in previous project as well. It's called Maya. He was one of the associate producers on that. So he came all the way from United States. When he was in Kathmandu, he was okay. All the crew was okay until we were acclimatizing in Kathmandu. We stayed there a couple of days. Everybody was like excited, happy. We went to Mustang and started shooting. Then after 1 or 2 days, like people start to get like illness and I mean, initially I was thinking maybe that's food poisoning or stuff, but later we discovered that when from hospital, and it was like altitude sickness. But I mean, everyone was fine later, so and we completed the shoot.
Okay. Yeah, and we're back, and so yeah, you talked about how you started finding folks were getting sick and everything. What at that point, like, kind of like, did it start kind of really jeopardizing the project, or like kind of how serious did things start getting then at that point? What was like your concerns, with everyone starting to get sick?
Yeah, I mean, as a director, I was very worried because as soon as I mean my men were down, then obviously I can't. Well, I was thinking, I mean, it's gonna hamper the shoot. And the thing is, we had booked the camera for a certain period of time, and we had to complete that shoot by that date. Otherwise, I mean, the rental company was going to charge extra money, and we were already, I mean, we were already like running out of money. I mean, less fund. So I was really stressed. I don't know how to explain it. And but later I had to find another guy to replace the particular person's job. I mean, thank God it was not like made my director of photography or like the the producer. Yeah, I mean the two guy who was really serious was I mean a sound guy and sound Michael Ling. His name is Michael Ling, and he lives in London. And Bobby Payne from United States, who is executive producer. I mean, sound was critical.
And you're out on location, right? So you're like, thousands of meters, like you're 10 hours out.
10 hours away.
Yeah, so from any civilization, and so you're pretty much out there on like on a tether really, and so you're at this kind of point where it's like make or break and stuff like that. So um, how close do you feel like you were to like kind of really saying, like I like kind of I don't know if this didn't happen. So like what was like kind of what allowed you to kind of finally decide that you could keep going? Like, kind of, how did things kind of resolve then?
Um, I mean, um, I had to decide. So what I decided was, Bobby, I had to basically take him to hospital as soon as possible. Otherwise, it could have been like catastrophe. It could have been anything, and safety is first. I don't want anyone to, die or something. In the shoot. Shoot is not important. This is someone's life. Is I've heard many incidents like people has died because of like low oxygen due to altitude sickness, and because people don't really like take that seriously. So it's like, oh yeah, I'm just fine, I've got a headache, I think I can go with that. And by the time they need serious help, it's too late, and I didn't want to happen that. So what I did, I asked one of my main producers, Tom Collingham, who is from London. So I asked him to take Bobby away to Kathmandu as soon as possible. So what we did, we had emergency telephone, and we called Kathmandu. We asked for emergency helicopter. Uh, Mountain rescue team. So helicopter came to the location, and he was evacuated from the actual location. So that serious happened. Actually, that much
Yeah, yeah,
serious
wow.
happened. So he was. I didn't want to send Bobby Pin on his own because he didn't know the location. Well, in Kathmandu as well. He came for us, and it's not fair to leave him alone. So what I did, because there was two producer with us on the location, so I sent one of the main producer who came from London, and he looked after Bobby Pin, and
Mm.
they arrived in Kathmandu in helicopter. They were taken to emergency hospital, and I think they had to stay like 2 nights in the hospital, hospitalized, admitted in the
Mm.
hospital, and all the medication. And yeah, it was, oh my god, it was serious. If we
And that
if
must have
we
been really stressful for you, like
yeah,
kind of because like yeah.
yeah, that was going in my brain. I was like, oh, what might have happened to that guy, and
Mm.
constantly going through my head at the same time. I had to direct actors, and I had to finish all the shoot like before that day. Time was like constantly, running out, and um,
Right.
but we did it. So yeah, yeah, I was in communication with Tom as well once they arrive in Kathmandu, and after 1 or 2 night, they gave me thumbs up, and they said, okay, they have left the hospital and they're in the hotel.
Mm.
They're getting better, taking medication, and doctors said that that is altitude sickness, and
Mm.
it's not serious now. And I was like, oh, okay, thank God. Uh,
Right.
definitely, definitely, Bobby Pin, if you're listening this, you must take altitude sickness medicine before you actually go there. Please plan it for next project.
Okay.
Make sure you take necessary medication. If you are going in altitude, if you are going more than 30,000, if you are going more than, 3,000 meter height. Oh, so,
Yeah, as like a little bit of a side, I actually was in aviation and stuff, and one of the things that they have us do is to go into this air chamber that simulates high altitude, and you really see how everyone reacts differently to different altitudes and stuff. I mean, part of it too is probably from your own, like background, like having, been born and raised, in Nepal, you were somewhat used to it and acclimated. But if you, didn't have that, you just don't know. It's like a big variable. It's a big question mark as to how the person was going to be affected. It's everyone's different. Everybody has like kind of
True,
like
true.
yeah, and you just don't know.
Absolutely.
And so that's yeah, and that's definitely like kind of one of the things that like kind of happens because I think on top of all the like you have a plan, right, for whether it's combat or for making a film, and then one of the sayings that I really comes to mind for me is that the um, the battle plan goes out the window the minute the bullets fly and stuff, and it's really like kind of, I think that's the thing about filmmaking is like you can have the best plan, but in the end, like you have to absolutely adapt and improvise. And can you talk a little bit about that, about like kind of you know that balance between having a strategy, having planning, and then just being adaptable or adaptive to the situation and stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's really important point actually. I mean, yeah, I wanted to share that with you as well. Basically, what happened was uh, before writing the story, um, uh, writer actually didn't visit the location. We didn't see the location, so the landscape of the location and different kind of houses and the distance between one village to another village, that kind of thing, we didn't know exactly. I mean, wish we had time and wish we had funding to go and do the recce, location recce. Um, so I mean, the way we actually did all the shortlist and stuff, I mean, thinking that the access is going to be really easy and is, I mean, the road should be like swift and we can actually move from one point to another point like faster. But when
Mm,
we reach the location, it's not even like proper road. It's like next to the rocks, and there's a
mm.
downhill down, and if you fall, then I don't know where you can, there's no chances of survival. and and I mean the only vehicle goes like 4x4, and it's because of the difficulty, of the geographical layout and stuff. So we didn't actually follow all the shortlist. I mean, like it was. So we had to go to the location. I mean, quick. Read the situation, okay, and according to the, I mean, layout, we tweaked the scene a little bit and we shot it, but we didn't actually go exactly like, the scene by scene, the shot by shot short list as we planned, because the geographical location was different. We couldn't. um, so it's a big lesson. I mean, if we have to do that kind of film next to mountain next time, we'll do proper recce, and for that we need proper like budget as well. I mean, for that film we didn't have that much budget, so we're still struggling to find the money. We still need to complete the film. We are editing at the moment. We still need to pay. I mean, the colorist. We still need to pay the music composer, and we still need to pay like festivals. We're aiming big festival around the world like Sundance and Venice and Berlin, Toronto. Really hopeful about this story. Um, but yeah, still looking for funding. That's why we need help from you guys to help. I mean, whatever help you can actually provide us through this Indiegogo campaign. I mean, even though if you can't put any money, at least, I mean, if at least you can share to your friends and families who, I mean, who might help us, and that would be so generous.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that really with even though money isn't the solution for everything, but really what it solves is money problems, right? And so that's one
Yes,
of the
that's
things that
right.
like kind of that's really the essence of for funding and stuff. Well, even though that like I think different times you have to work within the constraints of budget, and I could definitely sense that you felt a lot of the pressure with this situation because of the limited funding. But can you talk a little bit about like kind of things that came up that were really unexpected, that really were opportunities? Like in other words, were there maybe shots that like wow, like kind of like were there different things that presented themselves because of the situation that you were in and stuff like that, that like were unexpected, that really helped things process?
I mean, first thing is if we had like enough funding, that would have actually made our life easier. First, we would have done some recce, location recce, and
Right, right.
that would have made everything comfortable, and we know exactly where to go, we know exactly where to shoot, and though I mean we know exactly what kind of house in that particular village looks like, um, and and also I mean and also due to lack of budget we couldn't take all those like Gucci equipments, things like I mean crane is like impossible. I mean, you know, 10 hours in 4 by 4, but I
Mm.
mean I wanted to use like, you know, Gucci shot, like, you know, crane shot, and or jib, or there is some aerial shot as well I wanted to use, but I mean, we didn't have budget to take the all the equipments from UK, and in Nepal there is not that like sophisticated, you know, like lightweight equipments we can actually carry like easily as well. So there was like really heavy crane, but I mean like the Nepali film industry use, and I mean we didn't want to take the heavy stuff like next to mountain like after 10 hours, you know. However, you know, the aerial shot, we're planning some aerial shot as well. Before actually we were flown, I mean we fly to Kathmandu. I thought there is some the drone which we can hire
Yeah,
from there.
I was going to ask about that. Like drone videography, photography has really become big. So did you use any of that in your production?
No, I wanted to use it. I mean, we had a friend in London, but we didn't have enough fund to take them. I mean, with us, so we couldn't use that. So I was thinking maybe actually hire locally in Kathmandu. So we went to Kathmandu, found a guy who is really good with drone, and he had like 4K that DJ Inspire, something like that.
Hmm.
That's cool. But that guy was really busy. He said he had to go to another mountainous area with one of the filmmaker who did Caravan. You know, the Caravan, which was nominated for
Hmm.
Oscar in 2000.
Hmm.
So that director, and he said, "Yeah, I'm working with Eric Valley, that director who did Caravan, Oscar. Nominated foreign film." And I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
and
what can you say then? Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, he prioritized himself to go with him, and there was no any I don't know, I couldn't find any other like good drone rental company, and so we had to do that shot. But definitely for,
Yeah.
I mean, next time I wanna plan ahead and
Well, I mean, I think that's part of the the constraint you work with too. Also, is like kind of working somewhere like Nepal is like it's not the same as working in Hollywood where like there's 30 different companies you can call up for like drones and stuff like that. It's
true,
it's
true.
this very different environment and stuff. So were there other things that like really you found challenging? Like on the, I guess that was a trade off, right? On the one hand, you had beautiful scenery, but on the other, you were limited to you had resource constraints like that, like having more difficulty finding somebody who could fly a drone or something like that. What were some other things that like were the trade offs of being on location? Would you say?
Um, I think as I mentioned, landscape was one of the character in the film. Um, I mean, like I mean, inspired with Revenant. I mean, it was really hard. We captured everything real. It was no any CGI or any green screen, and the story itself was one of the village story. But the village can be anywhere. Maybe we didn't need to go that far away. There's like a lot of different type of village where the boss can go. Like, you know, you don't necessarily have to go through the 4 by 4, you know, that way, like we're like in remote mountain area. But I mean, I don't regret that because we have got like amazing landscape captured, and the story itself is unique, is authentic, that raw look, and it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of a story I don't think so people has seen it before. So I'm really excited, you know, to present that to the audience through the festivals. And no, I don't regret what I've got, what we show. It was hard work. There was challenges. People suffered, but but there was nothing that actually stopped the shoot. And we captured the story. We got everything. We got the landscape. What else you?
And so what would you say is like your main hope that like if you could achieve anything with the film, being made and the story that's told and stuff like that, what is it that you really hope that you achieve with the audience when they watch it?
It's a very difficult question. um, I just I don't know. I just want to tell different story that has never been told. That is why I want to tell the story that I only can tell. And I think I know Nepal well because I was grown up there. I was there until like 18, 19. So I'm good at like there's some authentic, unique, raw story which has never been told to the Western audience, to outside Nepal. So I want to tell those stories so that people knows about Nepal, its culture, its tradition, and so that kind of elements has been actually included in this film as well. I don't know. I just want to tell different stories so that people remember, which they have never heard or they have never seen before.
Yeah, I think that's
That's
the thing that central to like certainly we like for example what I'm thinking of is that something like District 9, for example. It's a sci-fi film. It's a story that about class and racism and stuff like that. And it's a story that could have been told in like New York or Los Angeles, but it was told from South Africa. So Neil Blomkamp was taking his unique voice to the story that could have been told really almost anywhere and stuff like that. But he chose South Africa and stuff. And I feel like that's really from what I'm getting from what you said is that it's a story that like on the one hand hasn't been told before, but the other I think a story of about people is something that like that's the thing about where the idea of that there are no new stories, only the same stories retold and stuff. And I think what's really for me like kind of the idea of what really connects with audiences stuff is the voice of an indie filmmaker like yourself. And so would if you had anything that like if you want to say one thing about why you do storytelling beyond simply like beyond simply like that it's your voice and stuff like that, what is it that like kind of really maybe who is it that you really would want to connect with in the audience and stuff, like what can you talk a little bit about like like if you could connect with any one person and watching your films and stuff, who would that person be?
it's a very difficult question as well again. um, I don't know. I don't. I don't know. I'm just speechless.
No worries. I guess okay. Let me backtrack a little bit. So let's go back to like kind of the essence of the story, right? Like kind of so Chiante, from what I understand, is a story of a soldier who's come back from war, right? And
Yeah, that's right.
and he's put in this situation where he's has to make this decision or everything. So with this story and like this kind of the I think that one of the things that for me what really resonates is the idea that like is this person who they've been through all these difficult situations and stuff. You know, like combat is, you know, like very few people actually go through that and live through it and stuff and experience it. Um, and I think that's a little bit what you're representing is just, you know, having somebody who's been through difficult times and stuff, but yet
Right.
here's this decision that is put in front of him, right? That like is still even more difficult in some ways and stuff. So like,
Yes.
so what is it about that story that drew you? What is it that kind of like really grabbed you about that decision and stuff?
I think there is different elements we want to experiment in this film. First, this is based on a true story. We were trying to include the story of Maoism. I don't know how much audience knows about Maoism. Maoist. Basically, Maoists are the group of people. There was a civil war before 2007 in Nepal between the government army and a group of people who wanted to fight against them for their rights. They wanted their places for the party, and they wanted to come in the government. And they fought for certain, like, I don't know, more than 10 years. So it's based on that. So I wanted to bring that kind of like Maoism as well. I mean, people might not know about it. So that was one of the aim. At the same time, I wanted to connect. I wanted to build that emotional relation between human and animals. So, basically, Chanty is a name of a goat, a cute goat. Okay, so and there's different elements I wanted to connect as well. So things like use of symbols. We have tried to use the symbols. There's metaphors. There is different dimension in this film, and at the same time, it's from a point of view from different characters. So landscape itself is one of the character. Chanty, a goat, is one of the character, and there is 3 humans in that house. I mean, the family, a kid, a father, mother. But I mean, father come back to his house. Basically, it's a Dasai festival. So I wanted to bring that culturist kind of like the culture as well, like our tradition. So if audience doesn't know about Dasai, Dasai is the biggest festival of Nepal. It's a festival of Hindu, and Nepal is there's a lot of Hindu people in Nepal, and there's Buddhist as well. But Dasai itself is the biggest festival in Nepal. And in Dasai, normally it's like a Christmas. They gather with their family. They eat good food like meat and different kind of variety of foods, and children buys new clothes, and basically senior people in the house normally put, it's called tika. Tika is a Nepali word. Tika means it's a mixture of color and the rice. So they mix that and put in the forehead, and basically senior people put that on the forehead and give blessings. So that is the tradition. That's what they do in Dasai. So Dasai is the time of Dasai. Poor family. The father, who is Ram, he comes back to the house, and it's kind of like that. The relationship between husband and wife as well. I mean, wife is not happy what he's doing, what Ram is doing, but at the same time, Ram is fighting for the hope. But I mean, and the way she is right to speak for her right as well, because he has gone for 3 years, so he hasn't seen the kid for 3 years. So by the time he comes back, the kid has kid is like 6 years, 6 year old, that girl. So when he left that girl, she was like 3 years, and so he brings a gift, the skirt, and but he doesn't know how big she has grown up. So that the skirt, it becomes like, it's small, it's too tight for her. So I mean, she can't wear it. So what she does, I mean, a little girl put that to Chanty, goat.
Mm.
So the goat is wearing that all the time. Okay? And so it's kind of that, you know, the argument in the house. I mean, in the house they are not happy, and she's going through emotional I mean, emotional problem there, because she's there like lonely for like 3 years, and they're poor. They haven't got enough money to buy even to buy a good meat, mutton meat, or chicken, or and there's a couple of scenes where she was saying, you know, her friends, the neighbors are wearing new, that they call sari. Sari is kind of it's a Nepali traditional
Mm.
a dress for a woman, and they're wearing that kind of new stuff. And you know, I haven't even thought about it, you know, because they haven't got any source of income, and Ram is not getting income from jungle. He has gone there
Mm.
to fight against the government army, and you know, and to do the bomb blast, and you know, and do rebel things there. So and then what they decide is they've got a fat goat, Chanty, and they decide to sell the Chanty. But the problem is, Chanty is a very, very close and good friend with the kid.
Mm.
So, and it's going to be hard, you know, and so the whole film is about that. So, and it's a journey film, and I don't know if you have noticed my last film, Maya. It's a journey as well. I don't know. I love to do that journey because I relate my journey with the story, because you know,
Mm.
the when did I start, and I'm still going. It's my journey, you know, from day one to day 100 is going
Yeah.
to be journey. So I always relate that journey in my film. So and it's a journey. They go, father and daughter goes from one village to other village to sell that goat. And I mean, girl is so innocent. She doesn't know about it, and she just keeps on
Mm.
asking question. You know, why are we going there,
Mm.
father? And why Chanty going with us? She will be tired, you know, walking
Mm.
that, I don't know, 8 hours or through the mountains. So when they're going through the mountains, you know, the mountains is on the side, so mountain is seeing that, so it's mountain point of view as well. Like as I said, landscape is one of the character, and so mountain is seeing everything, you know. It's
Mm.
and it's lying, that the kid is being lied, you know. It's so and for the father as well, it was the time to be closer with his kid, because he has left her for 3 years. So you know, it's emotional relationship between father and daughter as well. They bond you know, each other in that journey and be really close.
Mm.
So that kind of element I wanted to add as well. So and then finally they go to market, um, and I don't want to spoil the story.
No,
So
no,
they go
no.
to
I think,
market.
yeah, well,
Something
I think that's
yeah.
I think that's the thing. You know, that's definitely, I think, part of the point of why, you know, like kind of
Yeah,
for
yeah.
folks watch it, is to find out what happens and stuff. So I guess you know, we're coming up on our time and stuff. I thought maybe what we could do is wrap up a little bit about, like, so if would you say, like, kind of how, like, in this journey of the film making this film and stuff, how has this journey transformed you, and what is it that you're taking away from this experience yourself?
You mean from this particular film, or
Mhm. Yeah, just from making this film, like, how has this, like, you've made other films and stuff, and what was it that kind of for you has been special about, you know, this particular project and stuff?
yeah, I'm very hopeful about this film because I've never done this kind of symbolic film. The dimension, the layers, and from different point of view characters, different characters' point of view, kind of film. And the story itself is very, very gripping and strong. It's, I mean, the, there was many this kind of problem when there was Maoism during those times before 2007, and people were suffering, and they had a family. There was a Maoist guerrilla fighter. I mean, the woman fighter. There was a man fighter, and uh, the Maoist party themselves. They used to go to the house and and grab one person from the house and take them to the jungle. And I mean, they didn't have choice; they had to go. But what about the rest of the family who relies on them? So it was kind of it's kind of like I can see that true incident I was hearing about those, and um, this is the best story. I mean, I've done like many short films, about like 12 or 13. I mean, including all my film school films, like good, bad. But this is the story. I mean, the strongest story I've ever found. Um, and I'm very, very optimistic about this. We are in editing process at the moment, and hopefully I can tell the exact story from visual medium. I mean, after editing, so that um, I can make my audience understand. And the main thing is, I just want to connect this story with the audience. I just want to make sure they are connected. If I can't connect them, then I basically fail. But I'm very, very positive and very optimistic about it, and I'm sure they will be connected, because there's an animal, there's a cute animal, there's a cute girl, little girl. I mean, everybody likes them, and it's a relationship between them. I mean, and at the same time, it's a relationship between all the family. The whole film is about false hope. Everybody is living in a false hope in their house. So I mean, I don't want to spoil the story, but if I have to, explain the whole film in 2 words, that would be false hope. So the film is all about false hope. That is it.
Awesome. So, Veemsen, what's the best place for folks to learn more about the film and to stay in touch with what's going on with the film?
Oh, we have got our film page. Is Facebook, facebook.com, the film Chanty.
Okay.
Or there's a
Okay.
link as well. And
Yep, I'll be
also
sure
we
to
have,
share the link.
please, thank you. And we have got a page in Twitter as well. Um, I can't remember. I think it's exactly the same name, I guess, the film Chanty, or I'll find out in a minute.
Okay.
Or just go to search and find like Chanty, Chyanti. And also we have our we haven't got the Chanty's website page yet, but we have got our company. I mean, javiafilms.com / and is Chanty again, I guess. Let me quickly have a look. I just want to give right information. Okay, yeah, it's Javia Films, JAVIAFILMS.com / films / Chanty. Yeah, or you can find in Twitter or Facebook. We have tried to interconnect all the address each other. And by the way, we released our first teaser trailer yesterday.
Awesome.
But I mean, yeah, our main intention of like releasing teaser at the moment is we have got our Indiegogo campaign live at the moment, and we have got just a few days left. We are placing for $6,000, but we have only managed to secure about like 60%. We still have money to complete this film, to pay for composer, to pay for editing, to pay for colorist, and also to pay for festivals. So, I mean, for example, if we have to submit to Sundance, it's going to cost money. And we want to. I mean, the story itself is so great. I mean, I don't want to miss that opportunity. I want to submit like biggest festival everywhere. I mean, at least like 30 to 50. And hope for the best. And I just want to make. I mean, I just want to make sure audience can see the film. But for that we need help. We need, funding. Whoever is watching this, please help us to fund this film. Go through Indiegogo page, which will be on the links here down in a minute. Even though if you can't, give us any funding, at least you can share with your family and friends, and they might be interested to help us. And it's just helping each other. Every little helps. And please help us complete this film so that we can show this. And there's really good perks as well in Indiegogo. There's associate producer, there's executive producers perks. There is little goat chanty gift as well. There's like signed script and name in IMDb. Yeah, there's a lot of perks. If you go to Indiegogo page, normally this kind of things is handled by my producer, Tom. So I don't know exact information what the perks are, but there is lots. Yeah, but yeah, please, whatever help you can do, that would be so generous. That'd be so helpful, and that'd be so grateful.
Awesome, Veemsen. Yeah, I know it's really late there in London and stuff. So thanks for coming in, and yeah, definitely we'll look forward to sharing more of your story as things move forward and stuff. So have a great night, and yeah, thanks again for joining us.
Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to tell my stories, tell my journey to you and the audience, and thank you everyone who is watching live at the moment, and who will be watching later as well. Yeah, thank you, and namaste in the morning, and thank you for having me, John. Thanks.
Sure thing.